Let's start with some politics. And Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is set to begin full campaign for the ruling New Patriotic Party flag bearership race for the 2024 general elections. A post cited by TV3 Tuesday evening on his Facebook handle has Ghana and NPP flags with an inscription saying it is possible. We go to the Ashanti regional capital where William Evans Inkum is on standby to take us through what lies ahead. William, good morning. What more do you know about his campaign?
Well, so definitely he was waiting for the National Executive Council to give that green light that is set out modalities for the presidential and parliamentary primaries. All along, the confusion has been as to whether they should respect the party's constitution, which states that when the party is in power, within 11 months or after 11 months, the party should hold a presidential and parliamentary primaries. And within the last couple of months, it has been back and forth, whether they should go by that or they should just, jettison that by going for an extraordinary Congress and then amend that particular constitution. Because looking at the current hand parliament, it was always going to be difficult because they were also looking at loyalty. That is, if presidential and parliamentary primaries are held or they go by the party's constitution, there's a possibility of some level of reluctance in there, for parliament and all of that. So for vice president, now that the modalities have been set out, of course, he has been working behind the scenes, garnering support from the parliament and all of that. Now he's going to go hard at the polling station level, which he started last year during the polling station level elections, and then, of course, touch base with the constituency executives, and then, of course, the regional executive. But most importantly, the polling station executives who formed the larger or a chunk of the party's electoral college when it comes to its political structure. So, I've seen posts of support of the vice president jubilating, especially on social media, just to sound that yes, they are fully in the game.
Right, and describe the atmosphere in Kumasi since the post was emerged.
Well, so the light or the celebration has started on social media, and this morning we are likely to hear a chunk of their supporters going open that yes, the man has unofficially announced his bid or his intent to contest. Of course, within opinion polls, he and Alan have been tipped as the front runners as far as November primaries is concerned. So we are likely to, hear one will say a full campaign from his supporters, especially.
Right, and do you know which region the vice president is likely to start his official campaigning activities?
From the look of things, he's torn between the Ashanti region and the northern region, but it's likely to be the Ashanti region because Ashanti region has the largest in terms of voter population, in terms of, that is the heartbeat of the party. So he's likely, because once he has the support here, then he can rest assured of the northern region, which is his hometown. But for the Ashanti region, it's very critical.
Right, thank you very much. And that's my colleague William Evans Inkum giving us some updates on the vice president's campaign in the Ashanti region. Now we move on to some more stories. And a renowned economist and former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, Professor Stephen Adair, says Ghana's middle class propensity for rigidly aligning with political parties continues to be the bane of effective leadership and administration. He observed that although there has been some political awakening among the populace, little progress will be made moving forward unless the academia learns to lead a critical voice.
What happened in Nigeria, whereby Mr. Obi nearly carried the day, and something that he carried the day, but for some sort of mishaps. I think a time comes when the people get fed up. I think that the democratic system is very, very slow, but eventually it is capable of throwing up the right leadership. When the people get fed up, you know that we are seeing it at the constituency level. There are some people who have spent money and other things, and people have refused to vote them. And it's not always the highest bidder that wins the member of parliament seats. At this moment, one of the saddest things is that we don't have any proper leadership training institution. When I was in Gimpa, you won't believe that all the 3 parliaments which were elected and the cabinet came for Gimpa for orientation and training and the rest. And of course, after me, people thought that it's no longer necessary. The demand side has always been weak, and it is getting better because people are getting enlightened. So it's at the end of the day, strengthening both the supply and the demand side. But for me, one of my greatest disappointments that is going to slow the throwing up of the right leadership is that the middle class of Ghana, and here I'm talking about the business community, the academia, tend to be aligned rather than being the objective voice. And I think that that's where we must look at. People in the universities and other things should not be politically, but this is where incubation of objectivity and analysis should come. For example, people talk about Mahama or Dufour or Bawumia, but nobody is sitting down to say that what criteria should we be informing the people about so that they can objectively assess rather than the dust, how much dust is generated by NDC and MPP campaigns.
Let's talk about education now. And a day after a clash with the Ashanti Regional Minister, Caterers in charge of school feeding program have declared a strike effective today, April 5. The aggrieved caterers have been protesting against the current 95 pesos feeding grant and long-standing arrears.
It's been a chaotic few days for the school feeding program in the Ashanti region. Unhappy about outstanding payment, the caterers have been in agitating mood this week.
We cooked 2020 for the COVID food. They paid some, they didn't pay some. We lamented a lot, it didn't reach anywhere. And now we've also cooked 3 terms. They only paid 1. And even that one, they didn't pay the full amount. Meanwhile, we all bear witness to last year, how food prices went up. They didn't consider us.
Those protestations led them to the premises of the regional minister's office. Simon Osen-Mensah was having none of that. Now, that has angered the traders even more, who say they are withdrawing their services with immediate effect. This could mean significant feeding problems for many schools in the region. But it is unlikely the strike will force the regional minister into rethinking his stance. He says while he sympathizes with the caterers over the delay in payments, he completely disagrees with their mode of protest.
We must be truthful to ourselves and start pampering people. The impunity is too much. I sympathize with them. I would not be happy for the government to owe me for maybe months, when maybe I borrowed and interest is accruing, and maybe I cannot even feed my family. But we should not use illegality to solve problems.
In the meantime, with things deadlocked, many kids could go hungry during school hours.
Still on education, government has been asked to increase the feeding grants for colleges of education across the country. Principal of Bewa College in the Pusika district of the Upper East region, Dr. Halidu Musa, made the appeal at the matriculation of new students.
In spite of the rising cost of living, the government over the last 5 years never considered increasing the feeding grant for the teacher trainees in the colleges of education across the country. According to the principal of the Bewa College in the Pusika district of the Upper East region, Dr. Halidu Musa, the government grant to the colleges can barely provide 1 square meal a day.
One major challenge that is facing all colleges of education today in this country is feeding. The amount that is given for the school to feed you cannot feed you more than once in a day, resulting in the college incurring a deficit of more than 7,000 Ghana cedis per week to top up to feed you. This now puts a lot of pressure on the college's coffers and will most likely affect the quality of food you will be served going forward.
Dr. Musa was admitting 360 new students selected from a total of 2,609 applicants for the new academic year.
Does not condone bad behavior. And if you do, and you are caught, investigated, and found culpable, you will face the full rigors of the law in accordance with the Students' Handbook and other regulations that exist in tertiary institutional laws and regulations and allies across the country.
The college also lacks adequate infrastructure and logistics. Several projects have stalled at various stages.
Every tertiary institution strives on good infrastructure. But we stalled GET Fund projects, and these include an administration block, a new female hostel, a fence wall that is meant to improve the security of campus and the environment, the 2-story classroom blocks, among others.
The delay in completing the project continued to hamper the progress of the college, especially after the introduction of the 4-year BEd program.
Let's talk about security now. A high-powered delegation from the Ghana Immigration Service is scheduled to visit the Boko Sector Command to review the security situation in relation to the operations of immigration officers in the command. The GIS is also to collaborate with the police and other agencies to investigate and find the culprits of the attack on the 3 immigration officers that led to the death of Assistant Inspector Philip Morte on Monday, April 3. A statement signed by the head of public affairs of the Ghana Immigration Service, Chief Superintendent Michael Amakwata, said GIS management condemned the dastardly attack in no uncertain terms and reassured all personnel of necessary measures to ensure their safety. The statement also assured the public that its personnel are resolute and will continue to protect the borders against infiltration of criminal elements. The 3 immigration officers were off duty and driving in a private car when they were shot down by unknown assailants near the Boko's police station at about 8:15 p.m. on Monday, April 3. Let's do some more stories. And the Ghana Joint Business Consultative Forum has warned government not to sacrifice the survival and development of the private sector for the sake of an IMF bailout. It insists the business community is already overburdened with taxes, and further taxes will have rippling effects on businesses and consumer public. George Queenan reports.
24 years investment in car dealership business is becoming meaningless to Roland Asian owing to prevailing challenges. His car imports have reduced drastically. He can sit at the garage for weeks without engaging a single customer.
Cars that we sell maybe 120,000, we are forced to sell it 220,000, 240,000 because everything has increased. The dollar, duties, we have more taxes that have been introduced at the harbor.
Even this customer here could not afford a 2011 Toyota RAV4 selling at 130,000 cedis. Before the reversal of the benchmark value policy on import duties and the introduction of some port duties, you could acquire the same car for 70,000 cedis. He fears if nothing much is done, he may have to say goodbye to his business.
Well, you need the money even to buy food, to pay your children's school fees. And if your car is there and your children are not going to school, you are not feeding them, you have to reduce the car and sell it and get some money.
The concerns of Roland Asian have been amplified by the Ghana Joint Business Consultative Forum in its latest meeting.
15-plate battery that they used to pay a duty per unit, 250 or 200 something Ghana cedis at the port. Now it's 350 just to clear one battery. So if you have a container, 20-footer container, that has maybe 1,000 or 1,500 of those, so you pay 350 times. That's how bad the whole thing is.
The forum has vehemently registered its disapproval of the passage of the excise duty, growth and sustainability levy, and income tax amendment bills by Parliament, explaining that the business community is already overburdened with taxes.
Parliament failed to listen to the concerns and pleas of the people and rather listen to themselves, forgetting that they represent the interests of their constituents, including the Ghanaian business community.
These are part of government plans to mobilize about 4 billion cedis in domestic revenue annually.
The efforts of the IMF to support our national economy will amount to nothing if it ends up destroying local businesses.
Should government continue to implement the new 3 taxes that have been passed by Parliament, it would compound the woes of the business community, particularly for Mr. Roland Asian, who is even struggling to sell a car in a month. Josh Quinin, TV3 News, Jolu, Accra.
Now, on to some more stories. 2 organized labor unions say the payroll monitoring by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is a complete waste of resources. To the Health Services Workers Union and Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana, it is a duplication of functions as similar exercises have already been conducted by Finance Ministry and the Controller and Accountant General's Department.
The exercise is to check payroll fraud and also to reduce government wage bill of 15.2 billion cedis expended on over 700,000 public sector workers.
Which monies at all do we take that everybody wants to put an eye on Ghana education sector? I don't get it. And they do these things and teachers will leave classroom for a day or two trying to get their documents verified. And contact hours are affected. 3 years ago, Auditor General Department did a similar thing. Teachers will come and queue and the day will end and it will not get to his turn to get his documents verified. So the next day, he will leave classroom again. Where are the ghosts that we've been talking about all these years? That they have verified the payroll, and verify, and still cannot get that ghost. Maybe it is the Holy Ghost. You can't see it.
If it is unapproved, first of all, let's find out how did that get onto the structure? Who did that? Who approved of it? Is this something the person deserves? If they have finished everything and they have realized it is unapproved, for that one I don't have any problem. But they should not rush to clean up innocent people. That is my worry. If you say anybody who is on this level, give the person fuel, why then do you say the person has a car or not? Because it's a condition of service which is attached to a position.
Now, the National Democratic Congress has indefinitely postponed the vetting of John Dumelo and 2 other aspirants in the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency. The party said it is to allow them address some internal issues.
For the second straight day, perhaps the most anticipated vetting in the Greater Accra region did not happen. The NDC postponed the vetting of actor John Dumelo and his estranged close friend Fred Nyama and Moses Befi Achampon. TV3 learns that the party will make a decision on how to proceed after the deadline for vetting on April 5. The constituency has attracted huge interest after actor John Dumelo declared his intention to run again. He lost in the 2020 election to Lydia Seyram Alhassan. The intrigue around the constituency has been heightened by the decision of Fred Nyama to contest the same seat, triggering a bitter war of words between himself and Dumelo, who were close friends. There was vetting for 37 aspirants from 10 other constituencies across the region, but no major surprises. Among the 37 candidates were the daughter of the late businessman and former MP of the Kolekulati constituency, David Lamte, Nakai Lamte, who has been cleared to take on the sitting MP, and daughter of former President Jerry John Rawlings, Zineto Ajman Rawlings.
I know my people know me. I've mingled with them. I have been with them. They have access to me. I know what they want. They know what I want. They've called me to come and serve them. So I don't think that there should be any reason why I should fear. I'm here to serve my people in truth, in humility, and in honesty.
In the northern region, 59 aspirants are expected to complete the vetting process to contest 18 slots available within the party.
Now, on the foreign front, U.S. former President Donald Trump is to face criminal charges in a historic court hearing in New York. Trump this morning railed against the process, the venue of the court, and the presiding judge, saying it is a tragic day for our republic. Now, he is preparing to make his way from Trump Tower to the court in Lower Manhattan. U.S. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is attempting to rally Donald Trump's supporters in front of the courthouse. It is not clear what charges he will face, but they relate to money paid to buy the silence of former porn star Stormy Daniels. He's running for the presidency in 2024, and a conviction would not prevent him from doing so. And that's all for the 6 a.m. news here on TV3. My name is Judith Awache Tando.